Hey everyone, it's Sarah here. I'm going to walk you through my project for Module 9, focused on the front end. I'm going to start off here on our login page where I have everything pre-filled for our admin account. I'm actually going to switch over though first to the Register Now section, and we can go ahead and create a user here. I'm just going to make a test user and set their birthday to some random day. Let me put in some credentials here and we'll go ahead and take a look at the back end and see what we did there. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and register here. If you did get to this page and you actually did have an account, you could go switch back to the login. I'm gonna click register and you can see the registration here is successful. I'm gonna take you to our back end real quick so you can look at the code here. So for our registration page, I have all of the information here for the fields to be submitted. You can see here we're sending that information, we're posting it there on our route for our back end, and we'll also have some logic for registration being not accurate, so it's going to throw an error here or successful registration. Scroll down, this is more just the styling section for the form, and we are setting the status in the auth level here to basic to start off with, and then the status is hidden. So that's just something I'm setting on the back end. And then we're submitting it there. On the application section, we're going to check out the registration page here. So setting that show register here for the login page is handled here in the app section. So move over to the login page. Like I said, everything is pre-filled here. So we can go ahead and hit submit. And then I'll switch back to our code here so we can see what we did here. So starting off on the app.jsx, you can see some of the logic behind setting the session tokens here. We're also validating the session on the app load. So adding those tokens to the local storage, and then also in the same effect, we're validating them and including the credentials. So you can also see that here, how we handled the logout, same thing, we removed that session token. Okay, we're logged in here and you can see our icon across the top, some of our headers, our post section, and then an admin drop down here. On our home section, you can see we have a user profile with an icon. I created a status here of busy, and I also added some indicators and some logic behind if someone's available. There's a green indicator. If they're busy, it turns red. Just thought that might be useful for the app in general. And then you have the rest of your user information down below, including when this user joined, their total number of posts, and the last date that they posted on. This section here includes a list of the user's posts. They are with the newest post at the top and then downward and so on. You can see the user's post, when they posted it, a like button here, and then any comments that were left. And I'll get back to this section in a second. I want to cover some of the logic behind this page and then demo some of the other things that you can do from here. So I'm going to hop into all of our routing here at the top for the app. We already covered the login logic there. When we're using the post modal, you can see the logic when you click outside of there and the actual modal content right here. and that's got some logic a little further down to post that post, so to speak, and some additional logic behind setting an error if there's no content, or if it failed to create the post due to an issue on the back end. Here is some styling logic behind some of the buttons there and some of the header section. And then we have a toaster here. I'll show you for admin for account settings. If you click this account settings section, it says admin settings, whoops, are under construction, so we can't get any further there. Next, we're going to cover some of the header, so that's just all the styling here and creating the post button. We have the user menu logic here, so that's that left-hand side right there. And like I mentioned, the toaster is that right there. The nav section here links to all of the pages. So again, we use that React router to route into the main section, which is covered right here. And then we have all the additional pages that link out. Next, I want to address the post button at the top. So we'll go ahead and click on it and we can create a post. Testing time. We'll go ahead and post here. And you can see that our post was successful. We have testing time here. I can go ahead and like the post. I can also go in and I added some logic so I could click into the post so they would each kind of have its own section for its ID here. So we can leave a comment and post that as well. As you can see, the like button also persists, so we can like it 9 times if we want and then go back and it will still be there. The main page here is mostly controlled by this home page section. So we're calling the back end here, getting those like counts. If you can't like the post, then you get an error saying that you can't like the post. You're able to jump into that post by post ID, like I mentioned, and it's also a separate page that I'll show you the logic for also. Further down, you'll see where we're getting that API response, and I added some logic around the console log to be able to check that it's getting the correct post information from the API. I added some logic here around the user status, the coloring like I mentioned, and then the user initials as well to grab those off of the user ID, to grab the first and last name, and then grab the first initial for each of those. Here's where we're controlling all of the profile information. So again, that's grabbing that off of the user ID and it's matching it up with each of the data points there, such as location, occupation. For anything that doesn't have it filled out within the user's data, I've just set it to be NA here so that it doesn't just appear blank. And then we also have some logic behind the last posts and it increments after every new post. If there are no posts to display, it'll just display no posts yet if the count is 0. Next up is this blogs page, which shows all of the recent blogs, not just posted by this user, but by any user. You'll see the subject here, the body, when it was posted, and the comments below. You can also like from this page as well. So full list here, I didn't limit it to anything. And then we can look at the back end of this page. And we're just showing that we get the blog posts here. So we're calling in those by the post ID. Still setting those user initials. Those are going to be different for every user. Calling in the post content and date with the comments. And then we're also sorting them by the most recently posted date. And then if there are no blogs posted by anybody, then it'll go ahead and display no blogs yet. Next is the network. This page will show all of the users that are in the database. They'll have their same initial icons, and then you can see a brief overview of their profile information as well as their status, and then any of their recent posts. So if I check out one of the admin users, you can see our recent posts there. Same with my most recent post that we did for our test account. And then you can see the user availability status there as well. If we look in here, we have the network page logic, which is getting all of those initials and status colors. We're grabbing those user cards for each of the users, and we're appointing that profile information based on user ID. We have our most recent posts sorted by the most recent created date. And then we're also pulling in the user information there. Last in our navigation is our admin page, which if you are an admin user and you're flagged in the database as that off level, then you will see the admin link. If you're not and you're just a basic user, you won't see the sidebar link. So we'll go ahead and jump in there, and then afterwards I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like if you're not admin. So you can see our two user cards here for our admin dashboard. The logic on the back end is to check that flag for is admin. Then you can go ahead and navigate to this link that's stored in our cookies there, and then just some brief user management cards. Go ahead and log out, and then I'll log back in as a non-admin user. And you can see here that the admin link has disappeared. We no longer have access to it because we're just a basic user. All of the testing was done here in Postman, so we can go and look at the user ID here for the user we have been testing with. You can see all the status level and profile information. The most important point I wanted to show was just that this authorization level, where you can be either admin or it can be set as a basic user. If you'll remember from earlier in the demo, we're setting everybody who registers as a basic user. We can set those admin users on the back end. We're using this created date to show how long the person has, how long it's been since they joined Codebloggs, and we're doing something similar on the back end for the posts for their created date, so that we can sort through the posts, most recently for this user, and then also most recently for all users. Okay, that concludes our walkthrough. Thanks so much for joining me today.